All right, so wanted to go over quickly a what a website workshop looks like and kind of what comes out of it. So this is a walkthrough. So the you want to think about first thing you want to think about when you're doing a website is you want to know what your goals are, what matters to you, why are you doing this, what do you think it's going to do for you, and so uh, what we want to come out of it is a website that is cohesive. In other words, it doesn't feel like you go to a different page and it feels like a different website, or it's not making conflicting promises across the site. I realized I didn't plug in my mic. Let me do that real quick and see if it messes everything up. All right, hopefully you can still hear me as it connects. So anyway, so the first thing we want to do is talk about your company. We don't really. The main thing is, if we understand your company, we're going to understand everything else, right? We're going to understand most stuff. No company wants to go out there and just try to find out, like, oh, what do people want, and then let's give them whatever they want. Usually, it starts with like, well, what can we give, right? So if you do that first, you're in good shape. So what are the goals? So you can talk about the goals of the company. You can talk about the and you want to talk about the goals of the company and the website. So let's just write down company and then how the website will help you achieve those goals. All right, so what do you want the site to do? So there are a lot of reasons for a site, and they're all different. Sometimes there are sites you can order on, but for the most part, like a brochure website that just tells people about your company, that often supports business development by just being a place where people can come and just find out, hey, what do they do? That business development person I talked to, does the site seem like it does what they say it does? Um, Also, is it supposed to deliver sales qualified leads? So do you want people to sign up like for a newsletter? That's one way to kind of develop sales qualified leads is you tell people on the site, you qualify them by making it really clear what you do and what you don't do. And then they leave if they're not your right customer, which is what you want, or they stay and they fill out the form and they end up getting in contact with a business development person as a sales qualified lead or whatever you want to do with the sales qualified lead. Do you want to just educate? I mean, some sites are there just to change people's opinions on things. Um, there's a website I work on it's basically uh, trying to encourage men to be strong for their families, to do their jobs, and that's really there to educate and also to inspire, right? So, um, okay, and then also you can have a website that just is selling, where they can buy right on the site, and that's great too. All right, so that's the first question, and you might have different ones too. These are just some examples. So let's look at your audience. So when we look at audiences, what we want to think about is essentially um, we want to end up with a persona and then user stories, and I'll talk about those in a second. But the first part of that process is to list users and prioritize those users. So if you have let's say 3 different users and they all have different user stories, there are ways to deal with that. But what we want to do right now is we want to create a central user that's kind of your main user. And you might have 2 main users, and we can increase scope to accommodate all that, and that's fine. But we want to figure out the users. Usually it's cheapest just to go for one user. It doesn't cost as much to build your site if you can focus on one. And then, so what we'll do is we'll list out all the users. We'll list out a bunch of them. Um, you know, and then we'll create after we do that, we'll decide like, well, which one is number one? Well, actually, the second one is number one. This one's number two, and then this one's number three. And so we're like, well, let's make a persona for number one because that's going to be the most important. And then we build this persona right here, and it's I don't know, it looks something like this maybe. You have their image or the image of someone like them. This is really just kind of like, oh, if it's a CFO that you're going after, then it's probably a male, 55 to 65 years old, let's say. Um, they're an empty nester. Their oldest just or youngest just graduated from college, and you know, this will be like, let's say this is the demographics, these are the psychographics, and then these are the problems that they face, and then like a meet Maria, oh, his name is Harold, and he likes long walks on the beach and likes to play Parcheesi. I don't know if anybody even plays Parcheesi anymore. Here's his name up here. We'll just make up a name for him, and that'll be the persona. The demographics give us a lot of good information. If you decide to advertise, then you can use the demographics to do that. All the rest of the stuff is, how do we message to them? What kinds of problems can we solve for them? If you watch the video on content strategy, you'll know that if they have a few problems listed here that we can solve, problems that are related to what you offer, then that's a great foundation for a content strategy. And there are all kinds of ways you can use that to create content, or web pages in this case. All right, so top 3 user stories. What's a user story? So I didn't really write this out, but a user story is like, for an e-commerce site, you would have a user story would be like, okay, I want to, as a user, as a shopper for Zappos shoes or whatever, I want to be able to search for the shoes that I want by keyword, the brand I want, the size I want, and I want to know if it's in stock. If it's in stock, I want to be able to add it to my shopping cart, and then I want to be able to check out and then get a confirmation in my mailbox, right? So there's this long thing. It's like, I want to buy shoes, right? But it's a little more. As a user, I want to be able to add something to my shopping cart. I want to be able to sort by whatever, right? And so now you're basically saying, okay, you're putting yourself in the shoes, literally, I guess, figuratively, of the user, like, no pun intended, totally accidental. And then you add, you say, okay, here's the functionality we want it to have. Most brochure websites don't have that kind of functionality. It might be like, as a user, I want to show up and I want to feel like you are the kind of company I want to work with. And the company I want to work with can solve my problems that are listed in my persona, right? That are listed like right here, right? So, we list some of those user stories. Like, what do they need to hear? What do they need to hear for them to be able to feel that way about your website, about your company? What does a website need to be able to do to make that happen? So list the top 3 user stories. There could be only one, it's fine, one user story. It's a brochure website, pretty straightforward. And then what we want to do is create a sitemap. And the sitemap is super duper simple. It's basically the outline of your site. And so a sitemap is like homepage, about us, blog, contact us, that kind of thing. But here it's not complicated. It's just literally like, about us. And then below that's like, oh, our founding, our people, our people's dogs, right? Whatever. And then you just have, so on and so forth, where you have, subheadings, subpages, or whatever, until you have as many pages as you need. Oftentimes, simple simple websites are just sitemaps are like homepage, about us, products or services, and that products or services actually might have subpages underneath that, one page for each product. That's really wise and smart, because then you can really tie it in. And then contact us, how to buy, whatever your call to action is, you want to support that. Once we do that, what we might do is say, well, let's not design, this is really not design, but let's lay out 3 main pages and make sure we have all the sections. Okay, so we'll say, maybe one page will be the home page, right? That we'll want to wireframe. And so we'll just draw it up, And usually it's something like, um, some images. So you have your hero area here. You have like a little blurb, maybe a testimonial right there. You have an image, um, product, product description, image, product description. Just kind of give it a little bit of a staggered, thing there. And then down here, it's like a contact us or something, right? And at the bottom, there's like a universal footer that's the same across all the pages. Then you might have like a product or service page. Again, you might have a picture of the product. You might have the words up there. You might put them down here, right here. Um, and then you'll have like, here are 3 ways to use the product or 3 attributes of the product. You can go crazy with pages like this. You can have testimonials, you can do all kinds of things with product pages. But the main thing about the product page is you keep it really focused on the product. And probably at the bottom down here, you probably want to add some kind of like, um, CTA, like a call to action usually on a page like that. Yeah, so, and then, I don't know, maybe there's an About Us page or a Work For Us page, that you do here, just, add another page there. We'll draw it up just like we did this one. We'll find places for everything, for to live. And then like a contact form or a CTA, we'll put the universal footer down here, um, you know, and you have everything, everything you need. All right, and so I think that's about it. I think the only other thing I would add would be that I haven't added yet. Let's go up here and just add. We're going to go counterclockwise and pop up here. So measurement. Okay, so if a lot of times if we're saying what's the goal, we want to be able to track that in measurement. So sometimes it's like, hey, we might not be able to measure it a lot. We may just say like, visits. We may just want to measure SEO things like bounce or engagement now with GA4, Google Analytics 4. Bounce, engagement, whatever. Visits, you might want to have like users, because users and visits are different. Sessions, time length per session, something like that. And so, so you can measure all those things. But what I prefer, though, is to tie in to your, what's better is if you can tie in, so sales qualified leads, tie into your, I don't know, what do you use? HubSpot, Salesforce, tie into your sales program. And then just say, okay, well, I think a really good measure, and I'm getting above my pay grade here, but this is what I do at work, is you might want to measure something like revenue per dollar spent on business development. And a lot of times, like, you'll spend money on business development for like 6 months before you get the lead, and before the revenue comes in. So this will be like this 6 months, right? And then this will be this 6 months, and you won't be able to correlate them, right? It'll be hard to correlate. So sometimes what you'll do is say, let's do that. Stand by. All right. Sometimes what you'll do is say like you'll go into HubSpot or something and just say like, value of a deal when it's like closed one, right? Closed -1, whatever. And you'll say the value of the deal on like February 18th. And then you can say, okay, revenue, spent on business development in the last, over spent on business development in the last like 3 months or something, to try to get a little closer. Admittedly, it's hard to make that correlation, but this is a way to do it. And you do want to be evaluating biz dev. You want to be holding them accountable for sure. And then the measures for the website are somewhere downstream from those things, right? And then because really what you want to find out, what you're trying to find out is how much do I want to spend here. Let me talk to you guys face to face here. Get my picture here. All right, so really what you're trying to do is you're trying to figure out how do I improve, right? As management, you want to figure out how do I improve. And so the website's just the beginning, because you may want to say, hey, we want to get higher, we want to earn higher SEO. We want to show up on the first page when people search because it's so powerful and it's profitable to show up on the first page of Google. And so then what you start doing is saying, okay, well, we want to create some landing pages, some additional pages that come off, that further, let's say you have your product page, you might want to create pages that talk to each one of these things, right? Or each problem, you want to talk to people in terms of their problem. And then you create like SEO keyword ads, or you create display ads, and then you have them very specifically point to that problem, because that tends to be super powerful. It's called long tail. I don't know if I should get into it, but basically you're talking to people. It's fewer people who are going to resonate with it, but the people it resonates with, it's really going to resonate with them. They're going to really feel like, yeah, this is for me. This company is for me. This product is for me. And so that's pretty much it. That's the high level stuff for a website workshop, website planning workshop. And I hope if you guys have questions, you'll drop some comments below. Dude, I don't care if you like, subscribe. I mean, I'd love it, I guess, but really this is just to kind of get the idea out there and spread some of this information so your businesses can be successful. And then maybe you'll reach out to me if you need any help with any of this stuff. All right, thanks very much. Bye.